Welcome to another edition of This Day in African American Baseball History. Today is the December 4th, 2025 edition. Boy, we just dancing along. Been at this boy since I think uh, September. Man, we put up 200 broadcasts so far. Those that includes shorts, videos, and live. So I do a live as often as I can. Right now, I'm on a streak here that's probably got a live for the last 2 months. I haven't missed a day. So it's been pretty exciting. Lots of uh, great baseball facts I'm able to present to you, and especially this time of year when there is no baseball. And so, and I mean, there's no baseball games per se, unless you're talking about something played in a foreign country, maybe Puerto Rico or Cuba or something. But gives us a chance to talk a little baseball. So I want to welcome you to my program. Guys, if you stay for a minute, 5 minutes, I usually finish in 20 minutes. I appreciate that so much. If you like what I'm doing, go ahead and subscribe. We're building up subscribers. It's a slow process because I'm giving history. Got a bunch of girls dancing around in my background. I probably already have a couple of thousand subscribers, but guess that's not me. I'm just dropping information on you, and so I appreciate everybody who's been joining me and following me and just picking up all this baseball history. So once again, my name is Phil S. Dixon. I do want to mention this too. I'm also a writer, and I have been writing books since I actually released my first book in 1992. But guys, if you're looking for something good to read related to the Negro Leagues or just related to baseball, here's one book that you might want to try. It's called The Dizzy and Daffy Dean Barnstorming Tour, Race, Media, and America's National Pastime. Also, here's another one, Wilbur Bullet Rogan and the Kansas City Monarchs. That one came out, and I highlight one of the greatest all-around baseball players that ever lived. And guys, it's not Babe Ruth. So I highlight another guy. And if you want to pick up something that's kind of unique, this is John Buck O'Neill, the rookie, his words, his voice. An interesting thing about this is the first ever baseball book to have QR codes in the book. So you can scan it with your telephone, and you can hear me actually interviewing Buck O'Neill back in, 1986. All of these things, they predate Ken Burns' interview with him. But we're talking about things that Ken Burns never would talk about. And most of you probably knew Buck O'Neill initially through Ken Burns. But guys, believe me, I knew him before then. And actually, we even did a documentary with Buck O'Neill. Never released it here nationally. It was in 1985. So a lot of people locally had seen it back then. But that's history for you. So in addition to talking here, hey guys, I think I'm a much better writer than I am a talker, but I try to excel at both if I can. All right, so I just want to thank you for joining. So we're going to jump right in here. Guys, if you listen to these broadcasts and you want to say hello, put the state that you are listening from, and I will say hello to, New York or, Pennsylvania. I get people coming in from around the world as well. So, all right. So I appreciate that. Somebody said, well, let's see, why you have Africa in the background. That was me speaking at an African American history program, and that is a flyer from the program. So that was many years ago, and I speak quite often during the Black History Month. And so they make posters, and I have a number, man, believe it or not, in downstairs, I might have 500 posters from me making appearances over the past 45 years. A few of them are framed up. And if you look in the background, there's another one right on this side here is also framed up. Maybe you can take a snapshot and you kind of, widen the lens and you can kind of see. Got somebody looks like they're joining from North Carolina. Appreciate that. And somebody joining from Maine. Appreciate that too, guys. All right. I've never presented in Maine. That's an interesting. I have presented in North Carolina. I was in Rocky Mountain not that long ago. So, all right then. Okay, so let's jump right in here and start giving you some facts because all of these facts involve someone who played baseball in the era when baseball was segregated. Okay, in case you don't know, if you're calling from a foreign or listening from a foreign country, they have an American National League, which are the professional leagues. But for many decades, half a century almost, they wouldn't let African American players play. So no black people were able to play in these leagues. So we formed our own leagues, we formed our own teams, and we excelled at the sport to such a degree that they had to let us in. All right. So we're going to go through this. And then I do want to say, yesterday when I was talking, that was the December 3rd edition, I forgot to mention a guy that I really wanted to have just a brief conversation on. So I'm going to go back and mention this guy. He was born on December 3rd, 1925. His name was Harry Suitcase Simpson. Now, I know of two ball players who went by the nickname Suitcase. There was a Suitcase Mason who died up in Des Moines, Iowa. And of course, there was Harry Suitcase Simpson. Most people would know because he played in the American League. I don't know if he played in the National League, but he definitely played in the American League for Kansas City. And he formerly played for the Philadelphia Stars. Now, what's interesting about this Suitcase Simpson, when he was playing for Kansas City, they issued one of his cards. It came in a meat company. It was called Rodeo Meat. And around Kansas City, you can still find like hot dogs and things that are presented by Rodeo Meats. But Rodeo Meats evidently was pretty big then. So they issued a set of baseball cards, and they had a little plastic coating on them so they wouldn't get destroyed. And they were actually in the meat. And so occasionally you'll find one of his cards. Now, I, over the years, have had them. I don't have one now, but I know a guy who just specialized in rodeo meat cards, and I sold him my rodeo meat cards. Believe it or not, guys, I sold these cards to him in 1977. And so I was quite the collector even back then. But if you are able to get the Harry Suitcase Simpson rodeo meat card, I've seen it as high as $1,000 for an excellent mint card of that. So look it up. You can go to eBay. You can go wherever you can find baseball cards, but certainly you go to eBay and put in Harry Simpson rodeo meats and you will see this card. That is an extremely rare card, guys. So if you get that one, it's going to hold its value. That's what I believe. And it was issued in 1956. But anyway, he was born yesterday, December the 3rd, 1925. Just wanted to mention that. So now I'm going to go into December the 4th. Of course, this is my December the 4th, 2025 edition. All right. And so somebody, they're jumping in here and people saying hello, and I'm going to go back and read some of your comments toward the end, okay? So let me get through these facts, and we try to finish in 20 minutes. Now I've got about 12 minutes to go and lots of information to bring you, okay? So December the 4th, 1900, Baby Dodds, a professional boxer who formerly suited up with the Lincoln, Nebraska Giants, defeated Ed Wall, the Southern lightweight champion in Memphis, Tennessee, before a crowd of 4,000. And he won his bout in 6 rounds, okay? And that was Baby Dodds. Baby Dodds was an exceptional fighter. I featured him in one of my books, A Harvest on Freedom's Field, the ones I wrote about Andrew Rube Foster. But Baby Dodds was quite the boxer. And most people knew him from boxing. If you go to Boxer's Rec or something like that, or just Google his name, Bobby Dodds. I think he went by Baby Dodds. But if you go and Google his name, you'll see all his boxing, but you rarely see his baseball. But he did suit up for the Lincoln, Nebraska Giants, and they were organized in 1892. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. 1892. All right. Okay. So that is something that happened on this date. How about this? December 4th, 1934. We're going to jump a few years. Playing guard. Now, this is a baseball player. First one was a baseball player boxing. So this is a baseball player playing basketball, playing guard. Clarence Fat Jenkins dropped 3 points for the world champion New York Rens. And Bill Yancey, another baseball player, scored 8 points in a 41-38 victory over the South Philadelphia Hebrew Association basketball team in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, before 7,000 yelling fans at the South's Main Street Armory. Okay, and if you ever get to Wilkes-Barre, okay, just know this: the building is still there where they played, and in 1989 it was designated as a National Historic Spot, and it is on the Historic Register of Historic Places in America. So if you're ever in that area, I just want you to know you can step into history right there at that armory there in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Now, who is Fats Jenkins? Fats Jenkins was one of the greatest basketball players that ever lived. I saw in the Pittsburgh Courier in 1950, they did a article about the greatest 3 athletes in various sports. And when it came to basketball, the 2 of the guys they mentioned were connected to baseball. One of them was Poise, who was the owner of the Pittsburgh Crawfords, played baseball, played wonderful. Some people call him the greatest basketball player of all time, the first 50 years of professional basketball. And of course, they mentioned Fats Jenkins as well. Now, how about this one? You'll find this interesting. You ever heard of Ed Sullivan? Remember the Ed Sullivan show and all those entertainers? Ed Sullivan had a lot of African-American entertainers. But Ed Sullivan started out as a sports writer. A lot of people don't know that. Writing for the New York Daily News. And this is what he wrote about Fats Jenkins. He said that Jenkins is the fastest man in basketball and is said to draw down a salary of $10,000 a year. And that was in 1933 that Ed Sullivan wrote that for the New York Daily News. Yeah, and I've always wanted to go back and read as many of Ed Sullivan's articles as I could to see what he said about the Negro Leagues. But this is, on this particular day, we know what he said about Fats Jenkins. So Fats Jenkins, remember that name, great athlete. Once again, one of the people who just does not get the accolades that he should for all that he did for sports, okay? So let's go to another one. How about December the 4th, 1946? The Kansas City Stars basketball team, assisted by Lorenzo Piper Davis, who scored 8 points that game, whipped the Escanaba All-Stars in a 44-30 game at the stadium there in Escanaba, Michigan. Now, I could be mispronouncing that. Sometimes I have to go in and look for phonics spelling on some of these names because I've never been there. I've never heard that name mentioned before. But yeah, Lorenzo Piper Davis. Now, Lorenzo Piper Davis was the first African American ever signed by the Boston Red Sox. And I did interview him in his home in Birmingham, Alabama in 1983. Got a chance to shake the hand of Lorenzo Piper Davis. Great guy, was a great interview, really enjoyed him. Yep. Somebody mentioned Bob Gibson played college basketball. That is correct. That is correct. And what kind of the thing that I do is I specialize in talking about people who rarely get talked about. Yeah, they will talk about Bob Gibson, and most of us who follow sports, we've all seen this. But when have you seen something about Fats Jenkins? When have you seen something about Bobby Dodds, right? How about Piper Davis playing basketball? See, that's the part that requires a lot of research, and most people just don't want to pay those dues, right? Okay, so that's the kind of thing I specialize in, and I'm in my 45th year of doing this kind of history. So I'm just keeping this history alive, all right? So let's go to another one. December the 4th, 1946. Let me get a drink of water here. All right. All right. This is December the 4th, 1946. Playing basketball as a member of the Los Angeles Red Devils professional basketball team, Jackie Robinson poured in 9 points in a 39-31 victory over the March Field team in El Monte, California. Did you know Jackie Robinson played professional basketball? Jackie Robinson was good enough to suit up with professional football teams, which he did, to suit up here with a professional basketball team, which he did. And of course, we all know the history he had with the Brooklyn Dodgers. How about that? Yeah. So Jackie Robinson was a great multi-sport athlete, even a track and field man. His brother was certainly a track and field man, Mac Robinson. He was in the Olympics as a runner. So just a tremendous athlete. But how often do we hear about Jackie Robinson playing professional basketball? We hear he played basketball, at Pasadena Community College, or what they called junior college back then. I don't know if he played basketball at UCLA, but he definitely played professional basketball. So it's Jackie Robinson. Somebody mentions Cool Papa Bell. I don't know if you can put your question down. I actually knew Cool Papa Bell too, by the way. Went to his house many times. The street now is named Cool Papa Bell Street. But when I first started going there, the name of the street was Dixon Street. So I could always remember that. Now, it wasn't Dixon like my name, D-I-X-O-N. It was D-I-C-K-S-O-N, Dixon Street. So yeah, James Cool Papa Bell and his wife Claire Bell were really good supporters of mine before both of those individuals passed away. So these are memories that I really cherish today. And when I met these guys, I'm in my 20s, and I just turned 69 this year. And man, when I think back on the people I met, it's almost scary that, God put me on that path at such a young age. And so now today, I'm one of the few people out here who actually talked to some of these people and knew them well. And that gives me a unique perspective. There's a lot of people talking about black ball players and from the Negro Leagues, but they're talking about people they never met, people they will never know. Some of them haven't even bothered to reach out to these people's families who are still living today. I can remember a time I would go to a city. I remember going to Milwaukee, and I would go to church with baseball players. Buck O'Neill, I invited Buck O'Neill over to my church. He came. Lefty Lamarck came over. Alan Bryan, lots of Kansas City Mark. Jesse Williams. I used to invite them over to my church, and they would come over because Jesse Williams, Buck O'Neill, they were African Methodist Episcopal, part of their denomination, and so was I. So they would come over and visit me at church. And I would go visit them at church. How many people have ever taken the time to go to the church with any of these families that you're talking about? All right. Hey, I'm just throwing that out there. If you want to be really sincere about what you're doing, start going to church with people, and people will know that you have bought in. All right. Okay. So let's go to, I got two more actually. And I used to do what I call coming and going. So on this date, 1957, December 4th, 1957, Chicago Cubs, he pitched for more than one team now. Lee Smith is born in Shreveport, Louisiana. Lee Smith, I had the pleasure of meeting him. I used to be the assistant director of public relations for the Kansas City Royals, and I talked to Lee a number of times when he was still active as a player. And he left the game with just a slew of saves. I think he might have been the all-time save leader when he left the game. Of course, that record has probably been surpassed now. I didn't check before I came on, but yeah, Lee was a great relief pitcher. How about this? He was signed by John Buck O'Neill, who I also knew. So yeah, Lee Smith, Shreveport, Louisiana. All right, and my last thing for today is what I'm calling a going. That is somebody who passed away on this date, and that was Frank Duncan, the legendary Kansas City Monarchs catcher, died in Kansas City, Missouri. He was a member of the 1924 World Champions. Hey, Frank Duncan lived in the town where I lived, Kansas City, Missouri. I grew up in Kansas City, Missouri, as well as Kansas City, Kansas, so I knew both of the Kansas Cities. But yeah, I knew Frank Duncan's widow, Bernice Duncan. And that was his second wife. His first wife was a lady by the name of Julia Lee, and she recorded for Capitol Records and under Julia Lee and her boyfriends. Go look this up. I'm not making this up. Yeah, so you can actually somewhere in my collection I have one of her albums. Yeah, Julia Lee and her boyfriends, and and her brother Julia's brother was George Lee, and he was famous and is a jazz musician around the 1920s here in Kansas City. So this is history that is real life. Frank Duncan went to Lincoln High School, and I've mentioned it before. Rube Curry went to Lincoln High School, and who was that? Newt Allen went to Lincoln High School. Dimps Miller went to Lincoln High School. I can probably think of a few more if I keep going that actually attended Lincoln High School. And Lincoln High School is still there now. It's no longer a what they would call a segregated all-black high school. Now it's more like an academy. But the building is still there. You can go walk through the halls, the same halls that these legendary greats walked. And you know, interesting, I've never been invited there to speak, so I think I might have to make a call to go to Lincoln, maybe during Black History Month. I'm going to put that down. I need to go there so I can give some of this unique history to people who are actually attending the school that have no idea what happened before them. So that was Frank Duncan, and Frank Duncan actually was Frank Duncan he was Frank Duncan Jr., because his dad, that was Frank Duncan, then Frank Duncan Jr., and then he had a son, Frank Duncan III, who played for the Kansas City Monarchs, and they both suited up at the same time. I think it was 1941. They suited up together and played on the same team. And of course, Frank Duncan, I interviewed his son. His son passed away in Detroit. Always had some great stories. And so anyway, I know a lot about Frank Duncan. You can read a lot about Frank Duncan in my book, this book right here, Wilbur Bullet Rogan and the Kansas City Monarchs. So that kind of does it for me, guys. I'm about 22 minutes in. That's a little long for me, but I used to try to keep it about 20 minutes because I know, hey, if you're like me, I've got all kind of things to do. So I end up putting the broadcast on and listen as I'm laying in the bed at nighttime. Too many broadcasts, I just don't have time to listen in the daytime. So, but I do appreciate your support and your joining. If you like what I do, or if you're joining me later, guys, go ahead and subscribe. This is something I'm doing to help you to understand the history of African American baseball players in a way that you've never understood it before. And so hopefully I'm achieving that. And somewhere along the way, I'm hoping that Major League Baseball will look and say, hey, this is valuable. We need to have you on the baseball network to do something. That would be great. And then we could do some real professional things with this day in Black baseball history, right? But you're not going to get a guy who knew more people than Phil Dixon. It simply is not going to happen. And I want to thank you for your support and joining me. So somebody says, what we got here? There's always somebody who can't keep focus here. I'm going to go ahead and block this person. And we're going to hide this person so they'll never come back again. And we just want to make sure that, all right. Okay, so what do we have here? We have, somebody mentioned Cool Papa Bell, Bob Gibson. We did answer that. And this person, you know, talking about I look like P. Diddy. I do not look like P. Diddy, guys. Come on, give me a break. And we're gonna hide you as well. Okay, pale faces, not even athletic. Why have they been the ones who started? Oh wait, I'm not even sure what this guy is talking about. So anyway, let's see. It was a great day for baseball. The Negro baseball leagues were historic, no doubt about that. What about the part when they were playing sports and they took them and monopolized it? Not sure what you're asking there, but you can break that down sometime. I'll be happy to speak on it. I can speak on all kinds of things. Let's see, okay. Somebody said, talking about grandparents and things like that. All right then, well, that kind of does it for me, guys. So anyway, I appreciate everybody for joining. And come back, subscribe, and we'll keep building this network, and we'll keep talking about black baseball players through the ages and all the wonderful things they did, not only in baseball, but other sports as well. Can't get this information anywhere else. Just know that. Nobody's doing it, and nobody's going to do it like I'm doing it right here. All right? Thank you, guys. You have a nice day, and I'll see you soon with another edition of This Day in Black Baseball History.